Hi there, Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review for you. Going to talk about, I think it's a 2019 film, The First King, Birth of an Empire. This is one of those $1.95 movies I picked up from HamiltonBook.com. It's an Italian film. And it was actually surprisingly good. The short version is, if you like things like The Northman, not specifically Viking stuff, but movies that are about a really, really ancient time period that are done really well with natural lighting and real costumes and real sets and real outdoor scenes and not green screen and not superheroes, you know, that kind of thing. If you want something gritty, real, down to earth, then this is a pretty good flick. And I have a little test for you to do. So, The First King tells the story of Romulus and Remus. And if you know those names, yes, they use them in Star Trek. But Romulus and Remus were two brothers who... I don't want to give too much of the plot away if you don't know the story, but it's a classic story that we should have been taught in school, and some of us were and some of us weren't. I didn't learn about the story until college. But anyway, this was 700 BC or whatever, and they escape from slavery, and they basically lead people and found Rome. It grows to the greatest empire of all time. Not a spoiler alert, but over the end credits after the movie is finished, it shows what happens after for the next several thousand years or whatever, hundreds of years, as Rome kind of takes over the rest of the country. Now, the film was made in 2019. It probably came over here in about 2020. I didn't see it. And had I seen it before, I would have an even better opinion of it than I have now, and I'll explain that in just a minute. It was made in cooperation with a company called Roman Citizen, which I guess is one of those companies that makes sure that everything stays accurate to the time period, to the place, to the culture. Anyway, the story of the two brothers is a good one. Not to get into too much, but one gets injured and he has to carry him all the way, and then there's some plot twists, and it's really a good story. It actually affected me a lot more than I did. The performances are great. I did watch it in Latin. It's not filmed in Italian. It's filmed in Latin with subtitles because I really didn't want it really loud, and the dubbing seemed okay to me. This is a well-go release, though. They release a lot of Asian films. This was one of my first experiences with an Italian film from them. There's a couple of extras on it. It has descriptors on the front like epic, brutal, and spectacular. So again, this is a movie that takes place in 700 BC. Obviously, there's no modern conveniences. It's filmed on natural sets, natural lighting for the most part. It obviously doesn't have the budget for something like The Northman, not even close. But what they did was accurate, well acted, well done. They don't have the level of actors that a movie like The Northman has. It doesn't have the budget, the level of actors, the level of directing, the level of writing. But still, had I seen this in 2019, 2020 when it came out, I would have probably went, wow, this is a really affecting, important film. So here's where I get to the test for you if you get a chance to do this on a streaming service or a Blu-ray or a 4K or whatever. Watch The First King, Birth of a Nation first, and then follow it up with The Northman. Make a double feature. Not that the storylines are similar, not that they're about the same things. One's about Vikings, one's about the establishment of Rome. They're completely separate things. But both are filmed with natural lighting, on natural sets, with natural clothing. But one has a greater budget, better actors, well, higher ranked actors, if you will, and even more thought put into what happened. So if you watch them back to back, you'll watch the first one and go, hey, that was pretty good. Then you watch The Northman, you're kind of blown away by it. Northman's a stranger film, a weirder film, a more cerebral film. But I think the comparison is, well, close. The First King, when I was done, more than worth what I paid for it from Hamilton Book, and totally enjoyed it. It's something I would actually go back to. It's not, again, I can't get in. If you don't know the story of Romulus and Remus, I don't want to ruin anything. It's the story of two brothers, and it's a story that's been told throughout, well, for a couple thousand years. They found the largest empire of all time. So anyway, I'll come back maybe with a spoiler review. It's been about a week since I've watched it, but it rings something that I'd want to watch again when I'm in the mood for it. Northman will probably come first because that's just an epic. But this is pretty close to an epic, just on a slightly lesser scale. The Blu-ray looks great. The subtitles were great. The sound was really good. A lot of directional stuff outside, which is cool. Birds chirping, bugs, wind, that kind of stuff, trees. And, of course, in the battle scenes, there's several battle scenes that are actually quite well done. On the extras and the making of, they go into some almost John Wick level of fight scene preparation months before they started filming. So the fight scenes do come off as fairly realistic. And that's one of the biggest comparisons I could make to The Northman. Again, they're not about the same kind of things. They just take place in an ancient time that, if done right, is filmed strangely compared to what we're used to with, again, natural lighting, natural sets, natural clothes, that kind of thing. So anyway, is it The Northman? Absolutely not. Is it worth watching, especially on like a Saturday afternoon? Absolutely. Stream the thing. If you can find The First King, Birth of an Empire, watch it dubbed or subtitled, to each their own. But it is voiced in Latin, accurate to the story, and well done. Not the best movie I've ever seen, but definitely worth $1.95 that I paid for it. And if you get to stream it for free, well, isn't that worth it for a decent movie? In the modern times when everybody's trying to find better things to watch, you can watch the latest blockbuster on Netflix and forget about it a day later, or you can watch something like this and be thinking about it 2 weeks later. I don't know. I prefer something with a little more meat on the bones, even though I'll probably watch the Netflix piece of fluff as well. I'm Scott Hamilton. I'm ROCKFILE. Go watch a movie this weekend and have a great one. Thanks for listening.